All right, I think we are good. Bum 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 bum. What is up, good people? Give it a minute for it to pop up. Maybe no reverb. That would be nice. What's up, everybody? Give it a second for it to populate. What is going on? We are live in various places. Let me know where you are tuning in from. Let me know the branch of service that you are in or were in and the years you served. Always like to ask that. But we are live on YouTube, on X, on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. So, what's up, y'all? Hanging out for a little bit, a little end of year action going on. So, see what's going on with that. What do you think about VES? They've been doing my appointments, etc. I think they're fine, honestly. I think a lot of these companies, they're all pretty much kind of the same thing. So, you got some decent examiners in some of these organizations and some not so good ones. So, I've seen everything. I wouldn't get tied up too much into the hubbub of who is examining, what company's examining you per se. But no, nothing negative that I would say, honestly, for that. If you have a bad CMP, be able to report it. That's the biggest thing. Know kind of what you're supposed to do and why you're doing it. So that would be the biggest thing that I would highlight to anyone. 100% PNT, but I may have cancer now. Not sure. I can put. I wouldn't. Not necessarily very to 100%. If the service condition, if your cancer is due to service related conditions, they would have bumped you up to 100, but you're already there. So biggest thing is the condition or the reason why you have that part of your rating criteria. So that'll be the first thing. Army, North Carolina is in the building. What's up, everybody else? What are y'all up to? Let's see here. Give it a few. Yeah, when I do it on desktop, at some point I'll probably like to do a combination of the desktop and um, what's going on? None yet. Business. Hola, you are a vet. Pleasure. Um, yeah, when I stream on the desktop, they always suppress it compared to like if I were to just go and stream straight from the phone. But I like to be able to bring things up and reference things, so that's the biggest thing there. But a few quick admin notes. It's end of year, so where are we? What have we done? Have we opened our intent to files? That's the biggest things. This year's pretty much already in the books, but let's get ready for next year. Um, Behind me, the last class of the year is going down here this Wednesday for our ACR CMP class. So that's going to be the last class of the year. So that's that part. We're talking ACR CMP specifically. This is the plan of action. Trying to zoom in there and kind of show. So one of the things that I like to cover when I do my CMP classes is what exactly is a CMP exam, things to expect, things not to expect. Then I touch on bad CMP exams, what to do should you have a bad CMP exam, as well as a Q&A. So every class that I do, I always have a Q&A in there. I like having those Q&A sessions, so that's something that I really like. If you're PNT, do you get reevaluated? No, you're not supposed to. Sometimes there may be instances where that may be triggered, but there's actually studies out there where these are needless examinations that are taking place because they've made a determination that you are permanent and total. So you should not be called back in because one, you're permanent. There's no likelihood of improvement, so there should be no reevaluation, right? For some people, they'll go to 100, then they'll reevaluate them, and then concede them the PNT, right? Um, but yeah, to Wednesday's class, that's the plan of action, acing your CMP. Uh, let's see. Yeah. If you literally look back, more so on TikTok, you probably see like the entirety. So, a few pounds down. Yep, a few pounds down. Um, Seems like you lost weight since I last saw you online. Yep. For those not following, check me out, especially for my TikTok crew over on YouTube. Biggest thing there is trying to make sure that we have a backup plan of action just in case. Don't know what may happen with these here social medias and what may stay and what may go. So, making a point to kind of say that a little bit more louder. Okay, because it says deemed to be totally permanent and disabled. Yeah, no. If it's when you're permanent and total, so that's what it means, and I get it. So you're permanent, so there's no likelihood of improvement. It's total. Everything adds up to 100. So there's no need for wasting time and resources to bring you back in, which actually is part of where is it? Um, Checklist, Nexus. There's a new study, and again, I have to sit down and record it. But a new IG report came out specifically, and the issue here is failures on the VA side, specifically for things like the PAC Act claims. Folks are being claims overdeveloped. There were instances where, now I was kind of zoom in here so you can kind of see it. But the overdevelopmental errors, they were literally requesting needless examinations, as you see up here. Unwarranted exams. Sometimes someone's filing for one thing and they'll literally call you for the wrong things. It's just the VA doing the VA's business of nonsense, sadly. But these are things, when I talk about like the CMP exams, these are things that we have to be aware of. I always hit on a lot. This 2022 OIG report specifically talking about the failures and what they've done. And it's not poo-pooing on them. It's just more saying, hey, be aware, right? Let's see, Paloma. Thanks for giving me encouragement. You're welcome. My appointment's on Wednesday, trying to get 60, get my 60% to. What's your current rating for your mental health? Uh, the Paloma. But you're welcome. Let's see. Catch up on that. Okay, got those. Thinking about filing a VA claim. Been out for a while. Opinion. I think that you definitely can. My oldest veteran was out for 50 years before he filed the claim. So I think that's, it makes perfect sense. The biggest thing is because you've been out for a while, right? We have to make sure you make an argument that makes sense and you cover your bases, because the VA is going to want to come around and look at, poking holes in your argument, right? So how long have you been out? My old vet, like I said, two of my oldest veterans, one of them, Carl, is 95 years old, first claimant who was 95. And then Dennis was out for 50 years. Actually, he is the gentleman, actually, right there next to me in the picture. So he was out for 50 years before he filed the claim. And I just say that to say more or less that, not every veteran is disabled, no. But it is possible. That's the biggest thing there. So if you're thinking about filing a claim, one, open an intent to file, right? For everybody listening, if you're going to file a claim, open an intent to file. It gives you a year. You may not be ready right now, but start putting things in place. And then from there, medical evidence, getting things in place, right? You have to have three things: a diagnosis, an in-service event or stressor, and a nexus, medical connection, connecting those things, right? That's how we're making that argument to say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, right? This is what I have. So that's something there that I want to make sure that we do, and get some support as needed, right? But it definitely is possible for sure. The biggest thing is also for anyone, for you specifically, Simply Lou, up on YouTube. Appreciate you for following there and commenting, as well as let's see, the Paloma on the Tick side of the house. Michael, so my brother. Again, everybody, we're live all over the place. So we are on Facebook, we are on X, we are on YouTube, we are on TikTok, we are on Instagram. My brother, what is going on? Kind of multi-streaming everywhere. Again, shameless plug. If you're not following on YouTube, do that thing, because I don't know what's going to happen on social media, and going to start getting more hot and heavy on things there. So the three things I'm going to be doing is I got to put out a video on this new report that just came out September 3rd on incorrectly filed PACI claims. Gonna double the back down on this whole government, Department of Government Efficiencies, DOGE, and what may happen with the new administration, thoughts and things like that. And these are things I've always kind of covered in some shape, fashion, or form, right? Whether it was Congress coming for our benefits, budget cuts, rating changes. I trigger myself half the time doing these different things, but we have to be proactive and strategic when it comes to these things. So a few more things coming down the pipe there. This Wednesday, it is our last ACER CMP class. So if you have a CMP coming up, that is going down this Wednesday, and we have our sale in place until the end of the year. So this Wednesday, last class, and then we shut it down for the rest of the year. Biggest thing is if you have a claim you're looking to file, open an intent to file. That's the biggest thing that I would suggest to anybody. Let's see, Turon. My appointment is tomorrow. I am at 50% right now. This claim is for things that my injuries caused, like overcompensated due to other injuries. So you're arguing secondary. So you're saying I have a primary example, my left knee has made my right knee worse, or painkillers for my related conditions have caused GI issues, or my physical conditions, or my PTSD has caused migraines, headaches, things like that. Secondary arguments, check. Okay. Got it. I'm tracking. Do you need a nexus for residuals of TBI or those secondaries? They can be, right? There's so many different places. It really depends when it comes to, what we find specifically, right? Do we have injuries, etc.? Is a TBI already in place? The nexus is pretty much inferred to a good degree, so the medical evidence is there. Sometimes it may come in handy. Sometimes the medical evidence is already there. So when it comes to a medical nexus, right, what we're really arguing is how do we, let me pull this out actually. Let me do it this way. So this will be good to kind of touch on. This was from last week's class, but it's still pertinent. We're doing CMP this week, but when we're talking anything specifically, right, this actually comes from the case of Kaluza B. Brown, and this is what we need to establish service connection in some shape, fashion, or form. Blessed Beyond Knowledge is getting their ID tomorrow. Sweet, awesome. But we have to have a current diagnosis, right? And then we have to have an in-service event or stressor. So we have the TBI, and then we have some residuals and other issues that may have manifested from there. And then in turn, now we're going to speak to residuals and then a medical nexus. Again, that could be already in the medical evidence if it pretty much is showing that correlation or causation or aggravation. And depending on what that medical evidence is, that may require getting more. And that may come in as a medical nexus letter. So it depends really, right, on how all that was developed in some shape, fashion, or form. Let's see, we're on neurological. Yep, you'd think that was by design, and it wasn't. Just had it up. You'd think I would made it up. I was literally at the migraine section. So when we're talking residuals specifically, right, and that's where we're at over here. Let's scroll down some. So some people, when it comes to TBIs, and I have a TBI 101 video, I will say VA disability is not going away. No. They were literally going to be cut 2 years ago when Congress proposed cuts, and they said that we were going to have all these slashes. That didn't happen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So many different ways that all happens. Facebook, my same username. YouTube, veteran DP there. So that's one way to kind of jump in on the live or switch to another platform. But yeah, no, I'll be covering that in detail here soon. But no, benefits are not going away. There'll be some, they'll be looking at certain things here and there, but not a thing that goes away. Back to the residual side of the house. So when we're looking at TBI specifically, right, we have a diagnosis, we have conditions, but sometimes TBIs create other issues. So there are many instances where a veteran files, let's say, for TBI, and it gets merged or lumped with like migraines or PTSD, because they're not able to speak to some of the other residuals. So residuals being like, what are other things your TBI injury has caused for you? In this case, we're looking at things like memory, attention, concentration, and executive functions, right? And depending on the level of that impairment, that'll come into that. So do we have issues in that area, or judgment, right, in some shape, fashion, or form? Do we have instances of social interaction issues where that TBI has caused that residual, which at times sounds a lot like mental health conditions? Orientation, right? Do we have instances where we have for example, as you see here, this orientation of time, place, location, etc. How is that manifesting? Or locomotive movement. So when it comes to TBI, a lot of veterans don't know how to speak to the different issues they have. So do we have instances of motor activity problems, sensory issues? Do we have, let's say, for example, mild, or decreased, moderate slowdown due to apraxia, or other issues in that regard? Or do we have visual, spatial, orientation problems in some shape, fashion, or form, speech problems, etc., subjective symptoms that come into, overall, how do we interact with the world, neurological behaviors, neurological impacts, etc., migraines, headaches, how's that happening with the brain? Or communication problems. We have speech issues in some shape, fashion, or form. Is there a problem with communication? Has that become a thing? Like, think of stroke, right? Now all of a sudden speech is inferred in some shape, fashion, or form. Carlos Santo Domingo, dímelo, manito. Appreciate you. So, it really depends. Or consciousness, right? We have some instance of issues in that regard. So I always like to kind of, when it comes to that, it's a really, for TBI specifically, very cumbersome, because it really depends in so many ways, shape, fashion, or form. So let me see. He's seen multiple therapists, speech, TBI, diagnosed cognitive disorder. Again, so we have speech, right? Like we literally just talked about, communication issues, things like that. So these things do come in handy for sure. But again, the medical evidence is there, and then we kind of go from there. SMC is a special monthly compensation. So that's when we're starting to look at things like, loss of use or other more, on extra scheduler type of things. So for instances where someone has, let's say, advanced things that they need, aid in attendance, or loss of use, erectile dysfunction, loss of taste, smell, etc., it goes beyond. So it's like a separate rating onto itself. Sometimes veterans are missing limbs, multiple limbs, things like that, quadriplegic, etc. There's an extended scale that goes beyond. So I like to talk about SMCs a lot because if you're kind of in that criteria, but many veterans feel like, I'm not going to file a claim because someone has it worse than I do. And the reality is it's actually misguided, because someone who is literally, missing limbs and so forth, or blind, what have you, there are special monthly compensations on top of the 100. So for argument's sake, you're 100% and you're getting $4,000 a month. Some veterans that rightfully so have more complicated and loss of issues, etc., functions, etc., and whatnot, they in turn are having SMCs in turn. So whereas like 4 plus extra and extra, so 6, 7, 8,000, whatever the case may be, not compared to yours, right? So it's not the same, compensation, across the board. Folks don't know that. They just think, oh, I have 100, he has 100. That's like Lieutenant Dan. It should be the same thing. So it really depends. Again, that's something that if you're in that category, that's a conversation to have there. For the average person, I always like to just kind of keep it simple, because, claims itself is like for most folks, but there is an extended aspect for other ratings for veterans there, and that's for another conversation, deeper dive in there. Shoot the question you got. But that's what SMCs are. Let's see, 08 to 09 OIF, 10 to 11 OEF, Both tours, conducting route clearance, check. File my BDD claim. Wait for exam appointment letters that never came. So did you get out of service? Are you done? What's the status, BitKex? Got a letter today saying I have to file after my ETS date, even though I was waiting. Did you get into the window though for the 180 to 90 days? I would definitely call them. How did you file the BDD claim? Was it between that 180 day and 90 day window, or did you miss that window and in turn got held up? I would definitely look into asking about that for sure. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, and again, I'm not gonna go too much into detail with the SMCs because it's again, we're talking claims 101. Biggest thing: open an intent to file if you're looking to file a claim. 2, this Wednesday is the last ASURE CMP class that we're doing for the year, so that's the focus there. But to the question previously, this is the biggest thing that we're looking at for this. So there's that part. Fort McLennan, Fort Lee, gas chamber file. Okay. Gotcha. 90%, 50 for migraines, 70 for PTSD. Okay. Hey, Shirley. How should I go about starting my claim? For starters, I would say open an intent to file. Know how you're going to file a claim, right? If you don't know what you're doing, get support in some shape, fashion, or form. Many resources out there, but know how you're filing, right? Again, behind me, this is from last week's class. This week is ASURE CMP. Last week we talked. I do a class every Wednesday, so it's always alternates between ASURE CMP and whatchamacallit, navigating via claims. So I kind of alternate between those two specifically. So there's that part. Yeah, my examiners have been helpful, surprised me. Great, I'm glad to hear that. Nice. So if we're looking at arguing a claim, specifically for those like where to start, right? First of all, we have to have a diagnosis, right? As you see behind me, we have to have a diagnosis. We have to have an in-service event or stressor. What has caused, this current diagnosis? I have a back pain. I have a back injury, degenerative disc disease, patellotendinitis, flat foot, whatever the case may be. In turn, that now that current diagnosis, I'm saying it happened in service. In service is where this thing took place, or this injury happened, or whatever the case may be. So I have a diagnosis currently. In service, this happened, this caused or made worse my condition, and then in turn my medical nexus that connects those two things. I have a whole course on the BDD course specifically as well, which is also on sale, so there's that part. But for the BDD folks, check out the free checklist that I have. Little Birdie told me if you get the checklist, you'll get a link with a discount that'll be on top of the discount here. So, little fun fact. But yeah, we have a whole BDD course here that you can go on your own, and I think it's actually pretty dope. And this is kind of what it looks like too. So when you go to the website, it'll have like all the information in there for that. But just to give you a quick rundown of what that looks like, this is the BDD course. You have time. This is for those people leaving active duty. It's within that 180 to 90 day window. And what I like about this is we put this together. It has modules, videos, resources, all that, but I break everything down, 10 different lessons. Welcome intro to BDD, as you see behind me, gathering evidence and documentation. I cover presumptive, secondaries, aggravation, sleep study tests, etc., and health assessments, along with regulations on the closeout, resources, lay statements, examples of those things, forms, links, where to find them, CFR, etc. Go by sample tinnitus statements, GERD statements, migraine statements, and so forth, and a few checklists there that are for you. So you have time to work through this. So that's one of the things that I would definitely recommend for the active duty folks. So if you know someone leaving service, let them know. Little few things there. No, Charlie. So again, back to the proposed changes. I literally talked about this over. So the proposed changes came in 2022. I literally covered that up there on the proposed changes. These proposed changes are, the link in my bio has everything I'm showing. So I keep going back to this because that link in my bio will take you here. All our free downloads, all our social media links, as well as offers, talk to my team, or the paid offers classes that we have. So that's there. let me see. What I lost my train of thought. Oh yes. So the rating changes that are proposed, they were proposed in 2022, and then they went out for review, and basically they have not been approved. So they got kicked on the bucket for 23, and then 24. Last June was suspense. The new suspense now has been pushed out to April of 2025. These are just suspense dates. So if anybody's telling you like, oh my goodness, these changes are coming, that's not how it works. So there's that part. Actually, I'll probably try to bring it up here. Where is my? I thought about the links. I think I have to update the links. I want to say I have to update the links on this one. Yeah, yeah. But let me see here. Proposed changes. But no, if the changes do hit, you're not going to have an automatic anything. You get grandfathered in, so they don't just outright change your stuff. That's not how that works. If you go for an increase, then yes, that will definitely affect you in some shape, fashion, and form, because you're saying now I'm going to be rated against the new rating criteria. So there's that part. Let me pull this up here because I want to actually show it since we're talking about it. Okay, show me. No, I don't want that one. Give me mental health. Actually, give me both of them. Okay, great. So these here, boom, boom. So this is the rating criteria. Send me a message. I have a link. I have to update it on my new thing. So these hats we actually got made. A veteran shop actually makes these. And all the proceeds for these hats actually go to the service dog organization that I'm part of and support, MK9S Service Dogs. So, but I have to add that. But MK9 Service Dogs is the place there. Oh, snap, look, it's me. A few pounds heavier and ledgy. So, yeah, so all the hats that we do, they are supporting MK9. So, sell some hats, push it that way. Got to make a point to make more noise about that. I just hate selling stuff sometimes. But yeah, so this is where the actual language for these rating criteria changes come from, and it kind of covers all the things that are proposed, etc., etc. Let's see here. Dun 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 dun. What am I looking for? There we go. So as you see here, I'm trying to show me. Okay, so this right here specifically is for the mental health changes. I'm not going to go into this because I covered that already in a previous video, which is looked at my YouTube, shameless plug. But this is the agenda. So when I talk about these dates, that's why I don't like sometimes some of the talking heads, because it really becomes a lot of noise, but they don't ever show you things, right? So we are literally over at regulation.gov, and the docket number for this change, as you can see here. Oops, be nice if I unshrink myself. There we go. So this was introduced, proposed, as you see here, on February 2022, which is when I was literally kind of talk about that specifically on the rating criteria changes. So, 2 years ago and change. And then they had a period pretty much of February to put it out. They got back to them April, and they've been kicking down this for a few. So when I talked about April 2025 being the new suspense date, that's what that is right there, right? So it says final action, but it was a final action for 23 and then 24 and now 25. So these are things that happen a lot. So when someone's out here trying to fearmonger you on the changes are coming, there it is. You know what I'm saying? Like that's I'll just say it that way, right? So yeah, changes are proposed, changes are coming. Same for sleep apnea, tinnitus, and respiratory conditions, etc. So same time frame, still waiting for all that. So that's where we're at. And the biggest things that I cover on YouTube and the videos I've posted start talking about the changes to the rating criteria, and you can see I still have them all marked up. So the biggest change on the mental health side of the house is they're looking at going for different domains of your body. So the proposed changes does away with the things that we're used to. So if we look at the current mental health rating criteria, you'll see that we all know these symptoms and keywords that everybody loves to push. Well, the new proposed rating criteria gets rid of all that. It's literally saying you have to be able to speak to the various areas of your life. And I break that down in detail, but it's actually how I teach my class. So they're going from the DSM-5 to a WHODAS 2.0 thing. No, there's nothing to talk about for the suspense date. It's literally a suspense date was 2023, and in 2024, it's just government. That's all it is. So we went, last suspense date was June 2024. That came and went. Next one is April 2025. If it comes and goes, it comes and goes. So no change there, realistically. And if it does come, they'll put an actual official date of when these things will go into effect. And then they will give about a 2-month lead up. And if you have a claim pending as a change is happening, the same thing happened with GERD, IBS, etc., you will get rated under both criteria. So for those out there who are terrified of, oh my goodness, what's going to happen if I have a claim and this change happens, right, as my claim is in. So the way it goes basically is the new mental health criteria goes into play. You have a pending claim you filed. They will then look at the old criteria right here, right, and the new criteria, and they'll basically weigh it against both. And whichever is more favorable, they will award you that one to you, the veteran. So that's how that goes. But yeah, no, as far as projected, again, it was projected for 23, it was projected for 24, and now we're on to 25. So, it's good for us to be aware of these things because the more you know. So there's that part. Okay, let's see. And again, for those maybe just tuning in, this is where it all comes into. So they proposed it 2022 of April, and they had February 2022. They had till April to get feedback, and they've been kicking down this bucket for a period of time. So 23 came, 24 came, we passed those suspense dates, and then we have another one for next year. So there's that part. Let's see. How long can my claim stay in the evidence phase due to assist error reprimands the board? As long as the VA, takes so. That's, it's a crapshoot, honestly. There's always time frames, but I've seen outliers, so I don't like giving hard numbers because someone will say, oh, it's only going to be 3 months, and then 6 months happens. So, so it's really a crapshoot depending on what is the due to assist error, what's going on, what do they need, yada, yada, yada. So on the YouTube side of the house, someone I recommend, go to my page and then go actually to live. And I want to say if you go down some, I did a live with Tara. You may have to go back, but yeah, right here, MRPY. Me and her having a conversation. She's awesome. She does have her own shop. Check that out. We talked a lot about Nexus letters and all that. That's somebody that I work with. My company works with her company, so we're separate. But I do see her work, and I do support the work she does. So I send a lot of my veterans to her. So that's one of the benefits of doing what I do. Right, I have a lot of psychologists and medical providers that I know and network with. So and then people send me stuff all the time. So I'm always able, in some shape, fashion, or form, to see things, see the quality of work of people, etc. So that's always a thing, for sure. But again, Wednesday, it's our last class of the year. That's on sale, so it's $27 for the ACER CMP class. You can come on down and take that class, as well as everything else we have going on for the BDD folks, and the one-on-one. So check out the link in my bio. All the stuff is there. That's pretty cool stuff. If you want to talk to somebody on my team, links there as well. So look around. Let me see. Only new rating if you're already getting it. If you're already rated and you don't go for, like, for example, you could be rated for hemorrhoids right now, and hemorrhoids going to give you a 0, right, at the lower level per se. But the new rating criteria changed it, and now the lowest rating for hemorrhoids is 10. So if you were to file a claim for that, then up you go. But some people actually were rated for GERD, and the new rating criteria changed GERD and made it a little more difficult. Some folks have reduced because now the new rating criteria, when you went for the increase, actually ended up getting you reduced be careful. I've seen that happen too. I think, Alexander, you're good to go now. Yeah, nothing goes into effect. It's just suspense state, so nothing to get alarmed about. No, I partner with folks that do Nexus letters, so I have folks that I partner with and network with, but I don't run Nexus letters or Sykes, so not my shop. Nope. It depends how you're going to argue that, right? When it comes to the kidney side of the house, like what exactly is going on, more in detail, what caused it, is there underlying things? So it really depends. Okay, so I already answered that for the changes. So there's that. Where's the other part I was going to bring up? All right, so we got that one specifically, and then the same thing applies for the rating criteria proposed changes for all the other things, respiratory, etc., etc. So showing to you there, same thing. February was introduced. April was was the feedback date for comments, and then a final action suspense date is 2025 April. Not saying it can happen because it was supposed to be June, and then before that it was March. Before that it was 2023. These things, it's government. A lot of things are happening. We'll see when it does happen, but when it does, there'll be an announcement. So that's kind of how that works. Let me see. Where is... So on the sleep apnea side, because people are all freaking out about it, obviously, as well, and rightfully so, which I get. I'm just scrolling down to get to the sleep apnea side. And then let's go over to respiratory on the current side of the house. Let's go to sleep apnea. So this is the current rating criteria for sleep apnea, and the biggest thing here is it medically required for you to have a CPAP, right? You still have to meet all the criteria, blah blah blah, but that's what that means. Now, why do I say that? Because the change of sleep apnea is going away. It's not true, actually. So the change is right here. It goes from, at the current rating criteria, 50 required use of a CPAP, to, in the proposed changes, which are not in effect yet, still pending. They've been pending for 2+ years, so that's it. The 50 range looks at the treatment. The CPAP machine, APAP, BPAP, whatever you're using, is unable to treat your sleep apnea. So we go from required CPAP to CPAP don't work, and that has to be shown. And the part that I always look at when I tell people, like, hey, I don't care for changes, because guess what? When people are over here freaking out about all the changes are coming, my response is, I know the change is coming, so when it does come, I can tell you exactly how we combat it. Most veterans that I talk to will tell you something along the lines of, I cannot sleep with a CPAP. I have the inability to keep it on. I can't conform to it for a variety of reasons. Well, if you look at what's in red here, it specifically says, and actually I'll change the color here just to make it a little bit easier to read. Let's make that yellow. Qualifying comorbidities are conditions, right? Things that may preclude you from using, right, or the CPAP being effective. They directly impede or prevent the habitual use of your whatever medication you're provided. Are the following, right? So in the opinion of a medical provider, these are reasons why maybe you are unable to have effective treatment of your sleep apnea. And things can include contact dermatitis, where the mask interferes or touches the face, nares, Parkinson's, missing leaves, facial disfigurement, skull fractures. You have issues sleeping, you rip things off, blah, blah, blah. As long as you can argue that, again, as it shows here, comorbidities are the conditions that, in the opinion of a medical provider, directly impede or prevent the habitual use of the recognized form of your treatment for sleep apnea. If that is present, we're back at 50. Where is the fire? No changes for asthma or anything like that yet. Like I said, all these things are proposed. So that's for a deeper dive. Again, that was not necessarily the focus of today, but all this was pending. It's been pending for 2+ years. Everything remains the same as is. That's the biggest thing that I would say for that. So yeah. Again, link in my bio will take you to what's going on this Wednesday. I'm teaching Ace Your CMP, and the focus for said class, I'll bring it up again so you can see it. Bum, 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 bum. We are focusing on what is a CMP exam. We're focusing on what to expect. We're focusing on what not to expect, bad CMP exams, preparation tips, and then a Q&A. I like doing these live, but I'm also working on a recorded version, so that'll be on the way here soon. But these are the things that we have there. No way to speed up the process. The process is the process. So sadly, it's just the VA. Back page, nice. 30% or higher from the Army. Then that depends on the board and how they push it out, as far as they're concerned. On the Army side of the house, I've seen all kinds of stuff. Okay, let's see. I think that's most of the questions that we had there. But Kevin, what's up, my brother? But yeah, and again, the biggest thing is wherever you're watching, if you're not following along on YouTube, go do that thing, because I don't know what's going to happen. Same username, Veteran DP. But link in my bio has all these different things that you can see and find us there. So I definitely want to make sure that I pop in and kind of say that a little bit every so often. So this Wednesday, that's the plan of action. Last class for the year. I don't have any recommendations, honestly, when it comes to a VSO. I know many of them. I got 2 VSOs that work for me right now currently, so ex-VSOs. So I'm a private organization, so I really have to tell you when it comes to that, find someone that you feel comfortable, that's someone that is able to meet you where you're at. Great VSOs out there, but sometimes they're understaffed and, overpowered by many veterans. So there are some good ones. Some could be better. So I don't really shit on anybody. My whole thing is find someone that will meet you where you're at, that can answer your questions, support you, train you, teach you, educate you. If you can't find that thing, then you have to then spend time finding that, right? So, free comes with the cost of time and having to go through the process of finding a good one. So, don't have really much for you when it comes to that. But if you find a good one, hold on to them. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Yep. But those are the main things that I want to hit on. This coming year, I'm excited for things we got going on. I'll be in San Antonio in January. We'll have our team meeting, getting our stuff ready to rock and roll. Would recommend going. Well, it depends, Oz. Honestly, it depends kind of what you have going on. You know what I mean? You want to have a conversation with one of my advisors. Literally, check us out. That's what I would say there too. If you go to the link on my page, you can actually see my team. Click on the little link there. Go to our website. You can click on About Us. Scroll down. Check out who the team is. See who you feel comfortable with. We got all branches of service, all backgrounds, from legal backgrounds, folks that were pre-law, ex-VSOs with a background, nurses, etc., chaplains, a stellar crew of individuals that I have behind the scenes. But yeah, check them out. Check us out. Feel free to have a conversation if you see someone you want to talk to. Just literally connect with them and reach out, have a talk, and get some perspective, right? I love having perspective for people as far as kind of getting at least some idea of, what you may need to do or how best to help. So, but yeah, so we have classes, work on some things. San Antonio in January. The Big 3 season kicks off sometime in June. So We'll be doing some events along the country, depending on where the schedule takes us for the Big Three. So that's something that I share a lot with our veterans. And this year, I am looking to put on a workshop along with a Big Three event or game. So that's the goal, to have one event to where it'll be a game on Saturday, the young three to bring your kids, have them do like a basketball camp, and then also a workshop that I'll be hosting. So that's something I'm looking forward to doing, but it'll be good. It'll be good. And I'll pop in later on and talk a little bit about the Big Three and some of those things. But um, that's coming up here fast and heavy. Last season we won, so our team won. And this coming season, we're back at it again. So looking forward to when the season kicks off and meeting some of our veterans in different places. So not every location will do an event, but I want to do one event for sure where we have the most veterans. But I'll be traveling to different cities where the games will be held. And if you're in that area, I'll definitely make a point to hopefully have you link up with us. So I'll be putting things out for these games. To be aware of these things, do jump on our mailing list, which is right behind me as well. That way you know what's going on. I can't dictate when you see social media. I can't dictate when social media suppresses things or what it shows you or TikTok goes away or whatever. We're going to keep on doing what we're doing regardless. But if you jump on our mailing list, wherever you're watching me, you'll be able to see the link in my bio for that. You'll be in the know as the season kicks off, what the schedule will be. If you're interested in attending a game, we'll have seats and tickets and things like that. So that'll be cool. And then, of course, working out details for some of our veteran get-togethers and gatherings. So last season was awesome, and I'm looking forward to this coming one as well. But yeah, that's really all I have. Like I said, just popping in, trying to make a point to pop in, a few times during this month. I'll be traveling to New York this week and then rocking and rolling. So I'll be kind of popping in here and there throughout the rest of the month up until this TikTok ban. Kind of don't know what will happen, but we're everywhere. So that's the biggest thing. But I always like to be sure that we find our veterans where they're at. So try and make a more concerted effort to spend time on YouTube and do more things there. So be on the lookout for that. That'll be good. But if you have questions, or we can help you in any shape, fashion, or form, hit the link in bio. A variety of resources that we have, free resources, paid resources, have a consultation with one of my team. It's my company, it's my team, we're the best. I just say that way, but I never push those things because we are hopeful we work a lot with referrals and veterans who've tried things that hasn't worked for them. So I'm not a like every 5 minutes like, hey, I'm doing the thing. Like I always talk about the classes because they're one-offs. You can come and sit in the class and learn something. But I look at these things like taking a test drive, right? See what we're about, come hang out, ask questions, get a warm fuzzy, and kind of go from there. So that's the biggest thing. I appreciate you all. So yeah, that's all I have. You guys have and gals have a great night. If you have an exam coming up, let me know. Hope to see you in one of our sessions. And again, this Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, last class for the year. So after that, we'll put the schedule out for the next year and kind of go from there. But I appreciate y'all and looking forward to seeing you here online soon. Probably pop in tomorrow night as well. So we'll be back for the Insomnia VA Claims Hour. All right, y'all. Have a great night. Link in bio.